Hello and welcome to Thoughts in the Green Room with your host, Geoff Mays. This week's topic is support. As artists, we need support. As people, we need support. And support is something that is ongoing for all aspects of life. It's important for artists, for individuals, for groups, for companies, for everybody across the planet. And right now, during this pandemic, during this global crisis, support is more important than ever. Today I want to start things off by sharing two separate but closely related stories with you. Both stories happened to me while I was in university, and although they didn't happen directly to me, they are very impactful in how I understand the value and the need of support. The first story happened to me in my first year acting class. We were doing an exercise. We sat in a circle as a class, and we were doing an exercise about sharing some impactful or important moment that had helped sculpt who we were in that day. Some exercise to help us get in touch with our feelings so we could access ourselves as actors, access different emotions based on the stories we were sharing. We went around the circle and we came around to one of my classmates who shared that they were relatively new to the drama department. Now, I knew they were a few years older than some of us in the class, but I didn't realize, and I only learned in that moment, that they had recently joined the drama department because they transferred over from computer science. As their story progressed, we learned that they were actually in their final term of computer science, and they didn't graduate with their computer science degree before coming over to the drama department. It's an interesting story, I thought. Why would somebody get rid of one final term, one 4-month little stint away from graduation in this degree that seems to have so much prominence in the world? The individual carried on and told us the story that in the Christmas break, they had arranged and done the final steps of preparation so they could finish their term. And upon graduation, they were going to go to Europe with their fiancée, with their family. They were going to have a huge wedding, lots of friends, lots of family, celebrate the marriage, and then they were going to move from the marriage into the honeymoon. And after what sounded like a month or 2 months of vacation from schooling and marriage and everything, they were going to come back to North America and pursue their career in computer science. Sounds great to me. Why was this person sitting with us in the drama class? Why had they recently transferred? The individual shared that after many years of reflection and keeping it buried, computer science wasn't their thing. Maybe marriage was, but where it was following in to their life as a part of this package of get a degree, get a job, get married, get kids, all of that wasn't ringing true with them. And so, following the holiday break, before leaving, they broke everything off. Quit the computer science program, broke up with their fiancée, told their family, and the family's response was rather simple. Sort it out and get back on track, or no more money. Do it on your own. This isn't an uncommon story as artists go. Hear it regularly. I've heard it many times since. If you don't do what your parents say, they cut you off from money. And there are various versions of that, which leads me into the second story. I'd gone to a house party. We were celebrating one of the closes of our shows, and one of my friends had brought along an acquaintance of theirs. And as the night progressed on, I noticed the acquaintance seemed a little out of it. I went over and started up a chat, conversation. Things were all good. And it was clear that they were not in the best of spirits. And I asked them if they wanted to share, talk, do a thing. I'd listen. And the long story made short was this individual had received a phone call that day, or just earlier that day, or the night previous, whichever it was, from the parents. They had made a clear choice. The child, the person I was speaking to, had made a clear choice on the degree they wanted to follow at university, and it wasn't in line with their parents' views, and the parents had given them an ultimatum. Change their path, make the choice that was in line with the family views, or receive a $10,000 check and never return home. Never contact or communicate with any of the family again. End of story. Those are the two choices. Again, not uncommon to hear a child in conflict with the parents' wishes in respects to a pursuit, although an extreme situation in this particular case. Both of these stories are tied together not only by the issue of the parents cutting the child off monetarily, and in the second case, very emotionally as well. In the first case, I'm sure some emotions, but clearly in the second case, no contact with family was complete emotional bondage and a way to tie the child to the parents' ideals. But they definitely share, without question, the link of support, monetarily speaking. If you don't do what mommy and daddy say, you don't get the money. You have to go it on your own. Now, this support, or lack of it, as I'm speaking about in this case, is a level of emotional bondage, a way of control, domination, forced submission of the individual. And it's, again, as I've said, it's a common story. I hear it often with artists. My parents don't support me. I didn't know what to do. I pushed through. And that statement right there, I didn't know what to do, but I pushed through, is what we do as artists. If we are truly called to the arts, then we take the time to breathe, to accept the situation we're in, but in order to fulfill ourselves, know that we have to push forward to pursue the craft, to pursue the art. And in doing so, we find our tribe, we find the people who support us, and we create and pick and choose our own family so that we can survive and move forward in the arts. Now, the arts themselves lead to their own struggles. I've got a whole long line of blogs behind this one that speak to some of the struggles that artists face that can be related to and are often faced by others as well. But particularly for artists, we face struggle and turmoil because it is not the common path. So in order for us to do it, we need the support of others. And when we can't get it from family, we turn to our friends and we make that choice. Now, this support is the foundation that allows us to keep going quite often, or at least a large piece of the foundation. Now, I want to pause right there and come back to the second story, because as I've said, this impact where we're cut off as artists and have to forge our own way, although not common, it's not an uncommon event either. It happens too often, period. And it is one that leads to support and speaks to the idea that we have to be supported. Support is what helps us live. But I come back to the second story because I want to point out that this need for support is universal. It doesn't apply to just artists. It applies to every person on the planet in some fashion or another. And the second story, which I'm now mentioning for the third time, is key and important because the individual who I was speaking to happened to be Asian. I mention that because culturally speaking, this individual came from a long line of doctors. The entire family, generation to generation, marriage to marriage, I was told, was all doctors, an entire family of doctors. And this individual who was given the ultimatum of a $10,000 check and never speak to the family again or switch careers and get in line with the family, wanted to become a lawyer. A lawyer, ladies and gentlemen. This person who wanted to pursue the goal of becoming a lawyer would have been the first historical break in the family lineage of doctors. And as a result, they were destroying the family honor because they weren't pursuing a career in the art, in the medicine, in helping people through healing as a doctor. And I was blown away, and to this day I'm still blown away by that story because I expected to hear this person say that they're about to transfer into my arts program, that they were going to become an actor or a writer or something of that nature, but they said that they wanted to be a lawyer. And that pursuit meant leave family behind. And for the first time in my life, I realized that the idea of support affects everyone. This individual I was speaking to needed support. They needed to find a tribe. They needed to find friends, a chosen family that would help them feel fulfilled and carry on with what was driving them personally, the desire to become a lawyer. And although the feeling and the emotion was the exact same as what I felt and what I knew my fellow artists felt, it was for a completely different reason. It was pursuit of something I would have never thought about. And it struck me. Support is something that is universal. Now, we are currently in a time when many artists and others like the individual who want to become a lawyer are in lockdown, are maybe facing challenges where because of the circumstances around us, we can't pursue and we may not have the means to take care of ourselves as readily as possible. And we may be feeling a lot of guilt. Why didn't I become a doctor? Why didn't I become a fill in the blank? Why did I pursue the arts? I don't have a job now. I don't have any income because there's no real savings built up. And my parents were right. My family was right. I'm a failure. I know many people who are going through this emotional struggle right now. And I want to remind you that it's okay. You pursued the arts because it fulfills you. You pursued your dreams because it fulfills you and makes you feel joyful and right. And it is allowed, and this is simply a tough time. You have your network. Reach out and get the support you need to help get your mind right and get back on track to that feeling that drives you to be an artist, that drives you to be that lawyer, that drives you to be you. Support is universal. And this is a time with lockdown, with the pandemic, with the crisis that the world is experiencing, where I remind you that no matter what the struggle is for you, if you're feeling out of sorts, reach out to your support network. It may be because you're just feeling down because you're not going to a job you love and you're stuck at home. You can hardly wait to get back, but you're not you. Well, reach out and talk to somebody. It may be because you're an artist who is doubting their choice because you don't have any money and you're freaking out about calling your parents to ask for help for paying the rent. Reach out, get the support. You may have mental health challenges. Reach out, get the support. Support is a universal need. It affects us all. And this time, above all other times, when everybody is in the same shared experience of high stress, requires the support from each other in order to get through it. Those are your thoughts from the green room, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Geoff Mays, and I'll see you